too.
Oh, geez, I'm going to laugh. I guess you want me to start. That's funny.
Why would I start?
No, I'm talking to
Right?
Kathy. Dorian, you
Oh,
relax. This is
sorry.
our show. Don't worry.
I
we
have
got you.
Ernie's voice in my head. I want you to start the episode as Ernie since we were talking about it.
Right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Pear Genius Podcast. It's me, Ernie.
I thought that was really good.
Bert, come here, Bert.
When you and John have your podcast, you guys can do that.
There you go.
Yeah.
Ernie.
Nice. All right. Welcome back to another edition of the Pear Genius Podcast. We're all warmed up. We're laughing. We're having a good time. And we got our friend Dorian back for part deuce. That's Spanish for two, I believe. And as always, Kathy's with us here on the Pear Genius Podcast because there is no pear without my genius wife. And welcome, my dear.
Thank you.
And dude, I'm excited. Every episode just gets better and better. And this is no exception, so I'm already excited to get into it. Welcome back, Dorian. I hope that everybody goes back and listens to part one, and we're just going to roll into part two, and I'm going to hand it off to Kathy, and I'll be Mr. Color Commentary.
Color commentary. Fun. Oh, yeah. Okay, so let's go, because in part one, we talked a little bit more about where your faith started and transitioned to and what you're open to spirituality now and all of the good stuff. And now we're going to kind of change focus to feeling good in your own skin. So we're going to talk about your journey with psoriasis and all that good stuff. So why don't you let it rip?
Spoiler alert.
You told me to introduce her.
I thought we were going to save that for the ending, and this is what she was dealing with. Kapow.
No.
Okay.
No, we'll do it this way. I like Kathy's way better. No, thanks so much again for having me, guys. It was really nerve-wracking for me to be on the first time with the technical issues I was having and being my first podcast. And it was a whole new world for me, but really fun to be back. So thanks so much, guys. So like Kathy said, I have psoriasis. I actually have psoriatic disease. So it's not just the skin thing, because that's what a lot of people associate with psoriasis. But my journey to get my diagnosis was really long, like years and years kind of in the making. And it took me a really long time to actually finally be comfortable in my own skin. So where my story started literally was when I was 19 years old and I was in a car accident. Now, this car accident really screwed up my back. I had my first herniated disc. I was working, I was Ukrainian dancing, I was in school, really busy, didn't really have a schedule for myself. And now I get this back injury that took me out of dancing, that took me out of work, and doing the rehabilitation and whatnot was really time consuming. And it really, even though once I was technically healed, I wasn't able to get back into my regular activities. Despite all of the treatments that I had, I was just never normal again. And this went into my 20s and even into my 30s. When I started to have children, I had the worst back pain that would come and go. And all the specialists that I saw as a result of it basically told me it was because of my herniated discs. Now, after herniating that first one, I herniated two more. Once from shoveling snow, because it's always freaking cold here in winter Manitoba. And then one was a dancing injury. So that one injury also contributed to more over time, and I just was never, ever back to normal. Even though all the imaging I was getting was telling my doctors, her discs are fine, her discs are healing, but I was literally crippled in pain at times. I would have times where I couldn't get out of bed. I would be laying on the floor. I couldn't get up off the floor, and medication wasn't helping and rehab wasn't working. And I worked with sport medicine physicians and they couldn't help me. It got to a point after I had my first son that I had a caudal epidural done. And what that is, they basically inject anesthetic with x-ray guidance right to the nerve root, what they thought was causing my pain. Well, guess what? It did nothing. In my Ukrainian dancing years, when I was getting ready for big performances, and of course you're practicing all the time and you're really working lots, I would have to be taking twice, sometimes 3 times the recommended medication for pain relief. And of course, what do you do after Ukrainian dance? You Ukrainian drink, right? So I don't know how I still have a liver because of all the meds and everything that I was taking just to be functional. That was so frustrating. After the caudal epidural, I ended up having my daughter, and The week of her first birthday, I had this horrible strep infection. It was the worst I've had in my life. Had to go on 2 rounds of meds. And on the second round of meds, I started to get this rash all over my body, literally from head to toe. It was in my scalp, my ears, face, neck, arms, like everywhere. Literally, the only places that didn't have it were my palmar surfaces. So my hands and then my plantar, the bottoms of my feet. Those were the only places I didn't have these spots. I thought, it's got to be an amoxicillin rash. Like I just got on amoxicillin to deal with this really crappy strep throat. So I went to my doctor, and as soon as I was going to be getting a steroid shot, well, he gave me horrible news that actually it was this condition called guttate psoriasis. And it's a version of psoriasis or a form of psoriasis that is triggered by a stressor. And in my case, it was that strep infection. My immune system just went out of control. So in that day, going in for what I thought was something minor ended up being really life-changing. Now I'm being recommended to specialists because my case was quite severe. I had to start phototherapy treatments, which I was really scared of because I didn't want to be dosing my skin with radiation. I'm in my mid-30s. Of course, aging's on the mind, right? So, but it had to be done. So now my life is flipped upside down. I am going to phototherapy treatments before work because I had to go to there was like one of 2 hospitals that I can choose. So I'm driving at 6:30 in the morning to go to the hospital to do literally a 10-second phototherapy treatment because they start you off so small and then gradually build so that they don't burn your skin. Like it was ridiculous. And then I drive all the way to work after that and then put on my makeup and do my normal routine. Well, I work in sport medicine, right? Work in orthopedics. So when you have head to toe rashes and you have to deal with the public and you have to lay your hands on people to try to help them, working was hard. Working was really hard. It really gutted me, like emotionally. It stripped me of my self-confidence because I could see people staring. As much as I could cover my arms and my legs, I couldn't cover my neck and my face. And you could see even on my hands that the psoriasis sores were there. They crack, they bleed. Like I get it. Like I would be wondering too, right? But I would explain it's not contagious, but like people still didn't understand. And when your skin is constantly cracking and bleeding and whatnot, you are not comfortable. Wearing clothing hurt. I was really close to going on disability, but I would manage to get into my specialist, literally with daily calls asking for cancellations and crying and all of this. But I managed to get in sooner than what was anticipated. So the wonderful doctor that I had was so incredibly compassionate and empathetic. And he started to get me on the course of medication to help manage this flare. Now, why am I telling you all about this? Because it was in this journey that got me to the medication, and I had to do tons of tests, x-rays, and everything to be able to go on these meds so that I can get my skin under control. After a couple months of taking the meds, I noticed that my back pain started to go away. So it was with that horrible struggle of dealing with all of this head to toe nonsense that led to my diagnosis of psoriatic arthritis. And that is what was causing me pain for all those years. Yes, I herniated the discs. That was definitely part of it, but such a short part of it. I suffered with crippling pain for so long, literally over 10 years of just not knowing what this pain was and having it be so debilitating at times. And not one doctor thought to check. So, and I get it, when you are in a specialty, you kind of not have blinders per se, like doctors will look outside of those blinders depending on the situation. But when I'm going in saying, yeah, I have a history of 3 back herniations and I've got this pain that won't go away, and the imaging comes back and they go, well, I don't know, I'm going to send you to this specialist, that specialist. I understand, because no one even thought I had psoriasis because I never really had any scaly patches that you would think of, like the plaque psoriasis. So they just never put 2 and 2 together. But if I didn't go through that arduous, painful, ugly skin condition, it would not have led me to that diagnosis that now I have almost completely pain-free days. And I say almost. My back is achy, but I'm also mid to late 40s, right? I think that's kind of normal for most people our age. But I did have also like little like joints in my fingers that would swell, and I have pain in my ankles, which is all part of that. But my quality of life now in my mid to late 40s is better than where I was in my mid 20s. So going through that journey was worth it, 100%. And yes, now I have to do injections and whatnot, but that is managing my pain so well that, like I said, I have more of a normal life now.
That's so crazy. So you
Wow.
crashed your sweet ass Trans Am?
It wasn't a Trans Am, it was a Firebird.
Oh, it was a Firebird. Sorry. Wow.
Did you
Firebird.
remember that? I don't think I told you that.
I don't remember you getting
I-
into an accident. So hearing this, I'm very surprised, and because I remember the car because I remember us going for a drive one time, and now you smashed it up and got into an accident.
I did not. I was T-boned. I
Oh,
was
that's-
completely not. I was going straight on a green light. I couldn't be more in the victim.
Well, you're lucky to be alive.
So
That's crazy.
That's wild. It's crazy to me how much of a journey figuring out your body and your health has to be. It
I
can never be
know.
simple. So you think about this stuff, what would happen if we were living in a time where we didn't have the science that we have now, the doctors that we have now? How would it have been different? Could they have intuitively figured that out faster for you? Do you think that the journey was always this hard?
If I had significant plaques on my skin, they probably would have put the pieces together sooner. But the tricky thing with psoriatic arthritis versus, say, rheumatoid arthritis is those inflammation factors are typically seen in blood in rheumatoid arthritis and other arthritis diseases. In mine, it's not. So even with the diagnostic tests that were done while they were trying to figure out what was wrong with me, none of those factors showed up in my blood tests. So again, it doesn't really raise any red flags. In all of my years before that head to toe flare, I probably had maybe one small like spot of psoriasis on my elbow, but if the doctors aren't looking for it, nothing was obvious. And I didn't even think of it either. Like I knew I had that little bit of psoriasis. My doctor's, it happens to a lot of people. It gets on your elbows. You just put lotion on it. No big deal, right? Over the years. But it would have been nice that, I don't know, someone could have put the two pieces together.
It's such a, and when Katya had really bad sciatica for such a long time, it just used to drive me crazy being in Canada. Canada is all about patience, waiting for your turn to get your free healthcare. And I just remember thinking, if we went to North Dakota, just drove to an hour and a half to Grand Forks, that day she would have had her CAT scan or CT scan, and then we could have started the process to get her. What did you get? You got an injection in your spine.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, or Kati had one too?
Yeah,
I had a
cortisone.
cortisone shot. Yeah.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah. You know
But-
what? And I wouldn't have gotten into the pain clinic had it not been for my aunt, who was a head nurse at Health Sciences, and she had to pull a bunch of strings. And they finally saw me after years of sciatica, and they injected me with, it must have been cortisone of some kind. And anyways, that eventually did help. But my God, it was a long journey.
It is. And you know what? The problem in Manitoba too is that we just don't have enough specialists to go around. That's why there's such a wait. We see it in orthopedics. I have a family member that was actually just here today, and she was told that they're going to put her on a wait list to see a surgeon for a knee replacement. They told her, well, wait about 2 years. So until then,
Jeez.
she's just going to manage her knee issues with injections.
That's
And you know
crazy.
what? The thing, that's why there are those modalities like the injections, like the knee braces that I fit on people, because it does help you maintain a decent standard of living until you get to that point where you get to surgery. But it just still sucks having to wait. It really does.
Well, and then you have the surgery, and it's still a journey after that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. The stronger you are going into surgery, the better recovery is. So if I ever have to go down that road, I'm going to be preparing for it as best as I could. But yeah, that's a big problem here. We have to wait because there aren't enough specialists. And even talking with patients here, if they have to wait 6 to 8 months for an MRI, they're sometimes driving down to Pembina, North Dakota, and getting one and just paying out of pocket because they don't want to wait. And you know what? I don't blame them. If they have the means, it's an option, but not most people are going to do that.
Get in good with your veterinarian, and then they'll take care of you. It's like,
I'm allergic, so I have no pets.
Oh, see, no, I bring my dog and be like, hey, you want to give me a quick x-ray?
Yeah.
Boom. Don't wait at all.
I guess that's one way to do it.
The thing with back pain, and it's so debilitating anyway, if you're just by yourself, but you're a mom and you have babies. And
Oh yeah.
I remember like taking the girls down to the beach in Stonewall, and I couldn't interact with them. And I had to keep squatting because I couldn't sit on the sand. And then I would get up and walk around and I would squat. And I'm like, this is not fun. And I hope they don't remember me as this mother who wasn't interacting with them. Like I had all these thoughts and it was really awful.
It is awful. And yeah, exactly that. When I was only 8 weeks pregnant with my first, I threw my back out so bad. And what's the one thing that you can't do when you're pregnant is take medication, right? So at best, my doctor as well, you can take regular strength Tylenol. While when I'm literally on the floor in my living room, unable to get up without my husband's help, regular strength Tylenol does nothing, nothing. And I can't even take my triple doses like I did when I was dancing because I'm cooking a baby. So that's really hard.
Yeah, I just remember, well, Kati tried everything, antidepressants,
Yeah.
and they mixed up all sorts of weird concoctions, and that was a whole nother side of hell that we didn't know existed. And
Gabapentin in particular, because that one's for nerve damage, and going on it was really difficult. All of a sudden, I lost all this weight. I couldn't walk properly. I was never hungry. Like sex drive, zero. It obliterated my sex drive. And then coming off of it was hell on earth. Like gabapentin is a crazy drug.
I've never been on it myself, but I have heard some horror stories, and you are no exception.
Yeah, sucky.
That is sucky. As much as this journey sucked, I'm thankful for it because I'm definitely, even though Alex, I'm not a conspiracy person, I firmly believe that everything happens for a reason. There's a reason for everything. Whether you don't fully know it in the moment, the answer will present itself down the road. And my issues with the psoriasis, once the skin flare started, it wasn't until about 7 months after that I was getting that pain relief finally. And looking back, I wasn't thankful for it because I was still in it. But now looking back, if it was to happen all over again, bring it. I'm so thankful because I can't imagine now being at my age and dealing with that back pain. I really can't. When my youngest was a year old, I remember having to prop my pelvis on his crib to be able to lower him because my pain in my back would give out and I'd drop him. That's how bad it is. If it wasn't for my pelvis resting on his crib, I wouldn't be able to lower him into the crib. And that's horrible as a mom to feel that way.
What I will say about being in chronic pain, because even now I'm dealing with gut issues, and as painful and horrible as the moment is, if I have one day where I wake up without that pain, I'm like, oh, this is pain-free living. Okay, I'm like leaning into this and I'm just holding on to this amazing feeling. So you really get a sense of what a bad day feels like versus an amazing day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can't appreciate the good without having the bad. Like it's both are necessary. Absolutely.
If there's one thing I can take away from all of our conversations is that women are super strong because a man could not handle this. If I have even a headache or my shoulder hurts or something, right away I'm taking Tylenol, I'm going to the chiropractor, I'm going to get a massage. I'm doing everything I can to get back to 100% because I can barely handle 90, 95%. And the things that I've seen Kati operate at like 10% for about 2 years, I would have jumped off a building. I would not have been able to mentally handle that kind of physical pain all the time, chronic pain.
It really is difficult mentally as well because now you're taking on this whole other thing that now is exhausting your mental energy because now you're using all of this brain power to try to just be in the pain, be functional, still do the things that you have to do. And yeah, it's hard. Trust me, there are many times in my years where I was like, why do I have to deal? I've had a kid au naturel, and the pain in that I can honestly equivocate compared to the pain I had in my low back. I can't even explain it. I can't explain the level of pain. It was 10, 0 to 10. That's what I ask my patients on a pain scale of 1 to 10. Where is your knee today? Where is your ankle today? And for me, it was full blown 10 out of 10. And I figured childbirth would be worse. No, it wasn't. It still
No,
sucks.
because
Don't get me wrong,
childbirth
but it was horrible.
childbirth has a time limit on it, right? You're only in childbirth for so long.
You're so right. You're so right.
You know what's worse than childbirth? Getting kicked in the nuts.
Oh, please.
Seriously, no man ever said, kick me in the nuts again after the first time. Whereas a woman can have multiple children and it's okay.
Yeah, I had to have an episiotomy with Brody. Trust me. I don't know. I get that there are women that completely forget the level of pain that they were in during childbirth. I don't honestly understand that because I still remember how flippin' painful that was. And it took me weeks to recover afterward. It was horrible. I never forgot. And trust me, I thought twice before we decided to have Sadie. And the only reason that I didn't have meds with Brody is because I couldn't. They told me I ran out of time, that I was already beyond the point of being able to get one. Well, with Sadie, it was like, get me those drugs. You get me those drugs now. You don't wait. And that was way easier with her. But still, that level of pain every single day. Like there were days that I would get home and like my brain would just be so tired. Because not only am I dealing with the compassion fatigue from seeing patients every day, but now I'm having to take care of myself and then adding a little one in there. I was so tired all the time, all the time.
Let's talk about how that affects the marriage too. When one person is in debilitating pain all the time, how does the other person feel about having to stand up and take on extra responsibility?
I'm very fortunate that my husband was always really helpful with that. When I had good days, he could tell. When I had bad days, that he could tell. And if I came home and was just like, nope, I just can't deal right now, he would then take over. But I can't imagine not having that. Like the support is so important. And yeah, I'm definitely blessed on that aspect.
Yeah,
What do you think, Pear? How hard is it for you?
Well,
For
I was
me.
just going to quickly say that I really appreciate Dorian's gratitude for all the things. To see the silver lining, I think that's one of the huge lessons or wisdoms of all of these teachings. As a man, I would say that I was not great a lot of times. There was a lot of times where I was selfish and it's, damn it, I want my wife back. I want to have a normal sex life again. I want to be able to connect with her. And there was a ton of times where I can look back and be like, damn, I wish I was better. I would say 90% of the time I was pretty supportive. But then there was the few 10% selfish tantrum times where it's, damn it, did I sign up for this? Like, I want my wife back. This is horrific.
I think that's a very fair statement, Alex. And there's nothing wrong with having those selfish moments. I think we need them to survive, to be honest. If you're being selfish 100% of the time, that's one thing. You needing your time the same time that Kati needs her time, that's just a conflict in your needs. And yeah, that definitely can lead to some butting of heads. But like when I am going through compassion fatigue because of having to be there for everybody else and not being able to be there for myself, I am going to selfishly say, listen, I need to pull away. Like I said on the last podcast, my escape is going into my room, watching TV, watching something that's going to make me laugh and feel better. If I need to do that and it's not convenient for my husband, it's not his fault that he's upset with me. Right? I think it's kind of necessary to need to look after yourself too. And I wouldn't necessarily always call that a selfish moment. It's just maybe our schedules are off.
That's a good way to look at it. I never thought about that. Because, yeah, one of the things we talk about is marriage is never 50-50. Never. I don't think relationships are ever 50-50.
They're never 50-50 all the time.
Right.
Right? It might be 80-20 one day. It might be 40-60 another day. When my husband is having some struggles, I tend to step up. When I'm having struggles, he tends to stand up. But then at the same time, sometimes it's 20-20 or 30-30
Those are the tough
or
days.
30-20, right? Like it's just, sometimes we just can't give it all, even if the other person needs it. But what makes a relationship strong is being able to still be there for one another in what capacity you can give and still loving them for what they're able to give.
Yeah,
Sure.
I remember me and Katya got the stomach flu one time at the exact same time, and I think both of us were at 5%. And I remember giving Alora my bank card, and she must have been like 10 or 12 years old. I'm like, get us some Gatorade and some medicine. Please go to the store. If we would have had babies, we would have been dead. That would have been it. It would have,
Oh,
I don't even know how, right? We had nothing in the tank.
It was awful. That's probably the worst thing we've ever gone through.
Having a 12-year-old take care of both of us at the exact same time was wild.
oh, well, it's so great that you had that though. I remember being sick and then having little ones, right? And maybe Ryan being at work and me being alone and I'm just dying, right? That sucks. But you at least had a Laura who could be responsible enough to walk to the corner store and get you some Gatorades. That's so sweet that she
rough.
had to be a bit of a mommy role there. That's cute.
Yeah. Well, all of our parents are back in Manitoba. So obviously that would have been the first call, is to get grandma and grandpa over and help out. But no, that was about the scariest as it could get right there. Having a 12-year-old run the house for a day.
I'm sure she loved it though.
No, she's still mad at us about it.
Oh,
I hope she at least bought herself like a chocolate bar or something while she was
right?
out. I would have.
got
Yeah,
Dad's,
exactly.
Dad's, she got cigarettes and lottery tickets and old school
Oh,
style.
brother.
Old school.
Yeah.
So let's bring it back to this psoriasis, because while I don't know a lot about it, the arthritis psoriasis that you have, is that managed now and we're good there?
Yeah, so that in of itself, I'm on a medication now. It's the second medication that I've been on. The first one was an oral immunomodulator. So it just basically helps to keep my immune system kind of in check, right? So it calms it down. So it doesn't flare and then cause all the inflammation in my body that is the disease. But one of them was giving me side effects. And one thing I was really scared of doing was going on a biologic. But because of the regular injections, that's one thing I don't do in my job. I don't have to poke people. I really didn't want to ever have to do that. The thought of giving myself an injection was really scary. But the oral medication I was on was giving me some not fun hormonal side effects. So my specialist had suggested this, and I really wanted to keep getting better. And so I was open to it. I figured if it didn't work, we can just go on to something else. And when I did start having to do that, I remember being in the doctor's office and they're giving my 2 starter doses, and the nurse did the first one and she ran over everything with me. And then I had to do the second one, just tears streaming down my face. But the medication's awesome. And I couldn't imagine not being on it now. So the first few times I had to give myself injections at home, it was scary, crying, would have to once I prepped the medication, then I went into my bedroom, again, my comfort place, right? My happy place, and just put on the TV. And I just kind of waited a minute until I got my headspace in the right place. And then, just going through it. It doesn't take long. It's 30 seconds, right? But still, the fact I have to put a needle in my skin, that was so daunting for me. And I was a little ill at the start. Your body gets used to it. And like I said, now I can't imagine not doing it. Now I can stand on my kitchen counter and just squeeze and poke, and you got to just gradually inject it in over a 30-second period. And now it's like nothing. But back then it was so traumatic for me. But again, without it, I would be in so much pain. My skin wouldn't be 100% clear. Yeah. So thankful that it's available. I can't imagine living day to day without it.
How
no
rare
flare-ups
is this?
anymore?
There are still some flare-ups, typically stress. Stress is a really big one. Diet, which with anything these days, diet is really important to maintain, obviously, a healthy body, right? You eat the junk, you're going to feel like junk. You drink the alcohol, you get swollen and have headaches. So it's what are you willing to do? So there are lifestyle changes I've had to make over the years. If I eat a lot of gluten, I know I'm going to pay for it. If I have a really stressful day at my job or something else, like a life event, a death, whatever, it can affect me. It's really weird. Some days I have really amazing days, and I have other days where I can barely get out of bed. I'm just so tired. And it's not from pain, it's the fatigue. But my joints don't swell. My big thing with psoriatic arthritis is they actually call it sausage fingers, where just the inflammation goes to the distal joints and it makes your fingers look like sausages. I've only had one joint on this hand and then a knuckle that has done that over the past. But this medication really helps to keep most of it at bay, but I can still have flares that make me feel uncomfortable. Enthesitis is another symptom of my disease, and it's an inflammation of the connective tissue that attaches tendons or ligaments to bone. So that little bit of connective tissue can flare and cause a lot of pain. So I get that in my feet quite a bit and ankles. And if it wasn't for having a kick-ass massage therapist, I don't think I'd be very functional.
Is this pretty rare in the population? Or is this
I honestly don't know. I know that about 30% of people with psoriasis will tend to have psoriatic arthritis. Just because you have one doesn't mean you're going to have the other. It's more rare that the psoriatic arthritis presents before the skin psoriasis. And for me, it's guttate psoriasis. So as to the population of people that have psoriasis, that I'm not 100% sure of, but
Wild.
yeah.
So,
Again, it's led me to other things too, right? Being thankful for being able to be pain-free, my skin being back to normal, because that was one thing I really learned during the journey. When I was younger, I was really fortunate to not have acne, to not have so many people have such debilitating facial acne that affects just their everyday, their day-to-day, their self-esteem and whatnot, their confidence. I was so fortunate to not have to deal with that growing up. But when this happened, I could not believe how self-conscious I was. And yes, part of it was working in healthcare and having to deal with people and literally seeing like their shock in their face when they see me, because it was all over my face, these red welts that were not only red, but also raised too somewhat. So that really, I didn't want to go to work. It was so emotionally painful to be at work because I could see the judgment on people's faces. So once the medication started to clear my skin, I did have some texture issues that makeup couldn't cover. Obviously, makeup doesn't cover texture. And it sent me on a path to try to find the right skincare. And I had zero guidance. I never really needed anything special up until that point. And by that point, I'm like maybe 37-ish. So I tried so much stuff. I tried so many products from Sephora. I don't even want to say the number because my husband might lose his mind, how much money I spent trying to find the products to help my skin. And with the help of a friend who was a new Rodan and Fields rep, she made some suggestions and it was like miraculous. So that started me on learning more about skincare and how to take proper care of my skin. And I've been able to help others do that as well. And that's been really fulfilling.
Oh, I believe it. What an opportunity coming out of something that was so difficult. And what I will say, though, is that there's so much part of me that, and I hate to say it out loud and I hate to admit to it, but the vanity piece comes in for me, where if I have something on my face, I had the tiniest pimple here yesterday and it ruined my entire day. I just pretty much walked with my head down all day. I'm like, look at me. What is wrong with me that I have to even, who cares? But it's a vanity is a piece for me.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Wanting to put your best version of you forward, I think that's just human nature. There's a lot of people that don't really care, and that's totally fine. But I think for me, being in customer service, you guys putting yourself out there for the world to see, that can be bothersome. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to do it. But I think what's wrong is you're pushing beliefs onto people that they should be doing it. Like I would never, ever force anyone who's happy in their skin to say, oh no, your skin is, no, you need to do this, you need to do that. You should be doing, no, that's not right. But
I'm constantly encouraging Kati to wear a burqa and not have to worry about any kind of societal pressures.
You just don't want other dudes looking at your hot wife. Come on, let's be honest.
Well, she is the moneymaker, so I do let her go out once in a while.
Wow. Can I just add in here for everyone to know that I am human repellent, that nobody hits on me. No one's ever bought my drink. No one's ever asked for my number. So it doesn't even matter.
She's lying. It's always
I should tell you, Alex, I had texted you last week about that situation that happened at my work. That guy would not stop hitting on me. It was so frustrating. And just a quick little synopsis to tell everybody. I had a person intoxicated come into my store, coming out of the cold, and we have no problems. If people want to come in, take 5-10 minutes, warm up, move on, totally fine, just because we deal with public people and for medical help. So you just want to sit there, no problem, but then move on, right? And this gentleman would not leave, and he was intoxicated and literally pulling out bottles of rubbing alcohol and taking swigs of it while he was here. Insane. But then he refused to leave. And then he's calling me sexy and saying, hey, I bet you're married. And I'm like, yeah, I'm married. And he's, I'm gonna fucking kill your husband and I'm gonna cut him up. And
He's probably Russian.
no, let's just say he was or could have been some of the North End people
Nice.
I've dealt with over the years.
He probably heard the podcast.
Maybe.
Wanted to come say hi to you.
Maybe. Well, this was last week, so just before it came out. But
Right.
yeah, it was such an experience. But that's typically the type of people I tend to attract, is the crazies.
Well, Katya likes to attract crazies too. And that's another reason for the burqa. It's a level of protection for everyone and happiness, and you're secure. Anyway, we'll be selling those on the peargeniuspodcast.com website. So get your
Perfect.
Pear Genius burqa.
burqas. Oh God. Well,
Just have the little
on
logo,
that
like-
note,
Yeah, it'll
Yeah.
keep you warm.
right? Jeez. So let's talk about the vanity piece, and aging with grace is how I like to reframe it, because a part of me is scared about getting old, and then the wrinkles and the sagging and all the things. So I feel like biohacking is a new thing for me. And Alex had to explain what that even was to me, like just different ways of doing things to kind of slow the process or ease into the process. So where does skincare come into that?
Well, what's great about skincare is day-to-day maintenance, right? Think of it as doing the regular tune-ups in your car, even on a daily basis. You're doing these little things to make sure that your vehicle is working optimally. It's kind of the same thing, right? We're going to be using topicals to kind of give our skin what it's lacking. And we know that we lose collagen as we age, and supplementing what our skin is needing, there's nothing wrong with that. You have bodybuilders that are supplementing protein and creatine and, doing all these things. So that way their muscles have more of what they need to be able to build and get stronger. For our skin, because we tend to lose some of that laxity as we age, using products like retinol, and as we age, our skin tends to dehydrate as well because our skin gets thinner, so it becomes drier faster. So then using products with hyaluronic acid, niacinamide, that's going to help add what our skin needs for it to be at its best. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
I was going to say that it probably makes sense to not cheap out on things that you're putting on your skin that gets absorbed into your blood. And so you definitely want to look for certain things and look out for certain things. Like, what would you not want to put on your skin and that would go into your body, like from a cheaper brand, let's say?
So that's the thing, I understand that not everybody's budget is the same, right? And there's a lot of people that will kind of make concoctions at home. Like, you see all the little Pinterest recipes and all this, will make this skin scrub, make this, make that. Different skin conditions or skin issues have different needs, right? So if your main concern is maybe you're wanting to brighten your skin. So when you're wanting to brighten your skin, you're looking exfoliation, you're looking both physical and chemical. Then you're also looking at products like vitamin C and more niacinamide and peptides to help with improving discoloration in the skin. You don't want to use exfoliants that are going to be too rough on your skin. So using something maybe made at home, I've seen recipes using coffee grounds and all these different things. All you're going to be doing is tearing your skin up, and that's going to compromise your lipid barrier. So talking to someone who has at least some base knowledge on skin needs, skin conditions, using products that are maybe not made in someone's sink or bathtub or kitchen,
Or
using,
toilet.
who knows, right? Unless you actually know this person or whatever. Who knows what's going in there? I'm totally off topic, but like when I was in university, I did a presentation on drugs in sports, and there's reports of athletes getting these performance enhancing drugs from who knows where, made with disgusting ingredients in someone's bathtub because they can turn around and sell it for a pretty penny. We don't want that not only in our sports, but not in our skincare. So yeah, there's a lot of really great products that are lesser cost, but whether it's right for you, that's really hard to say. So the reason why I was turned on to RNF is because dealing with such an aggressive skin condition, I was really turning to my dermatologist for those questions and getting products that have not only manufactured or created by dermatologists, what's going to be optimal for your skin, but you also want to get the right ingredients. And the average person isn't going to know the right ingredients. I still even don't fully know. I'm not going to make some concoction, but making sure that you have the right ingredients and the right amounts in the right order is really going to give you the best results. So going to the drugstore and kind of picking, well, I'm going to get this from Olay, I'm going to get this from this company, I'm going to pick this from that company. They may say they target your concerns, but they're not necessarily made to work together. And that is really important as well.
I am so overwhelmed when I go to the pharmacy and I'm like looking around and trying to figure stuff out. And the girls, okay, so let's talk about TikTok and the kids because they're using all these products that have collagen, whatever. Okay, I don't even know what collagen is. And the girls are like, Mom, you should be using stuff with collagen. I'm like, what do you know? Well, TikTok said there's so much information out there that it's insane.
Yeah, and it all depends on the type of molecule as well. Collagen is one of those larger molecules that typically doesn't really absorb well into the skin. So I supplement my collagen in a powder that I put in a shake or a drink or whatnot. And you want to make sure it's hydrolyzed collagen, which basically means the collagen protein is kind of chopped up into smaller pieces so that our body will actually absorb it. So yeah, there's definitely lots. And that's the thing too. What's written on a box doesn't necessarily mean it's going to do what it says. And there's always, for me, the mixing and matching, that's horrible because you don't know what's going to actually interact and possibly create an issue, whether it's going to cause excessive dryness.
It's like a science experiment on your body.
It really is. It really is. And yes, you may have a better chance of getting some decent products when you go to a place like Sephora and whatnot. But one thing I don't agree with is, and because I've done this too, maybe ask them a question. I want to achieve this. What would you recommend? Well, then she'll go to one product from one brand and pick this out, and then go to a different brand and pick this out. But again, these are products that are not designed to work together, and that could potentially cause issues. And I know a lot of people kind of worry about the cost. And again, it all comes down to your budget and what you're willing to do. And I completely respect that. But to get the best results, you really need to have all of the proper steps, proper products. And it can be daunting. It can be really daunting for sure. Yeah. And the one thing that's really scary with the kids too, watching these TikToks and whatnot, kids don't need that crazy skincare. At best, just wash your face so your skin is clean. Right. Put on some SPF if you're going outside. My daughter, like I'm so into the skincare now, but my daughter just uses a basic cleanser, and sometimes even to get her to do that is a chore, right? And then when you go outside, just mineral SPF, easy peasy, like you don't need anything. And she's telling me how her friends are getting their moms to buy them like Drunk Elephant and all this because it is the big product on the social medias. Yeah, they don't need that. They don't.
They're in their prime. What are they doing?
Right. It's so
I keep telling her, I wish I'd have your skin. I wish.
Yes. Yes. I keep saying that too. Dude, you have much knowledge. So as a woman, 45 plus, let's say 45 to 55, what are the must-haves?
Must-haves. Again, it all comes down to what their specific needs are and what their goals are. I follow a lot of dermatologists online, and even just with RNF, a lot of people will say that one thing that's aging your skin most is discoloration. But if that's not your main concern, I'm not going to tell you have to use these products to brighten your skin. If your concern is more so just fine lines and wrinkles, retinol or retin, which is a more concentrated version of retinol, that's a vitamin A derivative, that's absolutely fantastic to integrate into your nightly routine. We typically want to use that at night because it does create, or it makes your skin a little more photosensitive. So we don't want to use that during the day. Moisturizers are really big, and SPF. Oh my God, the absolute must is SPF, because the rays from our sun, it doesn't do anything good to our skin. That's where we're going to get a lot of that surface dehydration. Obviously, then we don't want to risk our skin to burn, and it's going to also create more fine lines because of that dehydration. So yeah, SPF. If there's anything that you're going to add to your routine that you're not using now, is SPF. And then retinol, some kind of retinoid in the evening for sure. And again, I'm no specialist. I'm no medical professional. I'm not saying, but in terms of my customers, these are must-haves for them, and they all see visible benefits when they use them.
I say you have much knowledge. I would come to you in a heartbeat. I have come to you.
You have come to me, and your before and afters were jaw-dropping.
Right? No, totally. Like when you're using the right stuff, and not just me, but for men too. This is not just a woman thing. Men are aging as well.
100%, 100%. I think that's a bit more of a cultural thing, though, that men don't typically, put more time and effort into their skincare, because men tend to become more rugged and manly and whatnot as they age, right? Where women tend to kind of peter off the beauty table. But no, I think it's great when men want to up their skincare game. I think it's hot. It's awesome. Because I'm going to keep looking as beautiful and svelte. But if my younger husband's looking older than me, then well.
It's been challenging living in, we didn't talk about different climates, but where we are, it's much, much drier than where you are. So I'm looking at my hands and sometimes they look like a lizard. Like it's so dry here. So I need
hydration products are really important. So, and it's, I don't know what it's like where you guys are, but right now in Manitoba, it is dry. Like even my hair, I put like all the conditioners, but I still get super staticky just because there's no moisture in the air right now. But using products with hyaluronic acid and niacinamide are absolutely fantastic for putting moisture back in the skin.
Well, yesterday, he looks at his skin, he's like, oh, I look like a lizard. And then he just walks away and goes and does whatever. He doesn't even put lotion on. I'm like, oh, you're such a man.
That's okay. My husband doesn't do it either. It's fine.
I am trying to get better. We have started this biohacking journey and getting back on regular with the vitamins, and I'll do better with the skin and things. But like with the yoga and the hydration, like we're going to infrared power hot yoga. And I feel like that's doing amazing things for our skin and just sweating out all the crap and taking care of ourselves. But it's very interesting, all the options that we have now to basically turn ourselves into a comic book hero, Wolverine, how we can regenerate and just keep getting better. Because I feel like when our parents were, let's say 50, they weren't even half as cool or as awesome as we are now. So whatever we're doing, I think we're doing a pretty good job.
That's amazing. We have infrared saunas in our clinic here over on the therapy side. I haven't used them yet, but I really want to, because they're not only does it give you skin benefits, but also it helps to increase circulation, remove toxins. Yeah, like you said, Alex, there's all these amazing benefits of infrared therapy. I haven't done any deep dives on it yet, but like I want to go. I know it's something that I just can use here. I just have to make the time to do it, right? But oh yeah, huge. I would love to get an infrared sauna for our house.
For sure.
Yeah, we just got an affiliate for a red light therapy, and we'll put that. We already did put that on the website, right?
It's on the website, yeah.
I'll make that link available, and if
That's
anybody
awesome.
wants to check that out, because honestly, this kind of stuff is mind blowing. Like we're just doing it at the yoga studio, but for us to have that in the home too, especially in the wintertime, or especially how long our winters are with no sun, and it's nice to have these kinds of options available, because I feel like even 10 years ago that was not an option.
Oh, big time. Yeah, I know. I hate winter, and I really do chronically just feel down the whole winter months. I love being outside. I love being by the water. For me, that is my calming place. Yeah, to not be able to have that in the winter really is hard. It's hard.
It's been a tough winter for us too, but we're working really hard, and eventually we'll get somewhere nice and warm.
I know. Are you guys going anywhere?
Hopefully Arizona, I can smell Arizona. And I know that when I can start smelling a place, it's like, oh, I guess we're going.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay. I wish I could do that.
We just got to keep podcasting from Arizona.
Hey, why not?
Right, exactly. So I think we've come to the point now where I have to ask you the question that the last person left.
Oh, we're at that point. Okay.
The last person was Dorian, and here we go. No, I'm just kidding.
No, it was not. It was not. But this is not a conspiracy theory question, so you're off the hook there.
Thank God.
Right? Okay, so it is, what do you want Canada to be in 30 years?
What do I want Canada to be in 30 years? I would like to be taxed less. That would be really nice. I would love to see, you know what? The whole thing with the tariffs has really solidified our pride, our Canadian pride. That was kind of lacking before that happened. So I really hope that trajectory kind of continues, that we have a lot more pride for our country, that our leaders don't screw us into debt. That's a really good question.
That's a great answer, though.
That's a part answer. It's a part
No,
answer.
it's not a part answer. That's everything. Our country needs to be run more like a business and less
Yes.
of a charity case for guys that just give away our money and
Yeah.
launder it. That needs to end. We
Yeah.
need to be taxed less, and our country needs to be extremely rich and profitable, which it should
So
be.
Ford left that question for you, and his whole thing was we have to take to the streets. We have to be more vocal. We have to take back. We have to contribute. So in asking that question, it starts to get you thinking, how can I contribute to create the Canada that I want to see in 30 years?
That's a really interesting take for sure, because we can't just rely on those that are the loudest to do it. We really, now that we have this sense of pride, Canadian pride, we need to take more of that initiative to tell those in power what exactly needs to be done. We can't just be ignorant and leave it in their hands and assume that they're going to do a good job, because look at where we are now.
Mhm.
Yeah, taking more of an initiative, I think nationally, is going to be really important.
I
But
love
what
that
that
answer.
is, that's hard. That's hard to know what that is.
It's going to take some pondering.
Yeah, for sure.
No, that's good. So what would your question be for the next guest, since you're such a veteran of our
Oh,
podcast?
yes. My second podcast and my second with you guys. I'm such
You're our first guest who has appeared twice.
Shut up.
The trophy. We're going to give you
Oh,
the
that's
Golden
really
Pear Award.
Oh, fantastic. Wait, did you say au pair?
No, Golden Pear. I said Golden Pear.
Okay.
But if you
Au
need an au
pair?
pair, we can make that happen too. We'll see.
My kids are old enough. They're good.
Right? It's
Let's
for Ryan.
see here. Do you believe in biohacking? And if you do, what is your go-to hack?
I like that.
So good.
Because let's share the wealth,
Mhm.
right? That wealth of knowledge. What do you do that maybe I can integrate into my biohacking journey and benefit me or even my family?
Great question. I can't wait to ask it.
I just started an experiment with this vitamin, ashwagandha, is it called?
yeah.
Ashwagandha.
Yeah.
I felt great yesterday, and it was the first day I took it. And today I feel great too. I have way less memory fog, and I'm just sharper. And I'm like, either this is a great placebo or this stuff really works, but I've noticed it right away. Even during my other podcast, I feel like my brain's always just trying to catch up, and I'm just super sharp now. So if this is working and I'm journaling it, this is a huge biohack for me. I'm excited
That's
to
awesome.
talk.
My hormone specialist suggested that I take that as well. And I have taken it. I'm just really bad at consistency. I have ones that I definitely take on a regular basis, but ashwagandha is one of those that I do take, and then I run out, and then I forget to buy a bottle, and then whatever. But that was one that she suggested because it does have multiple benefits. Focus, I believe, is one of them. It has help with sleep. But no, that is definitely a good one. I haven't done a deep dive on it, and that's probably why I'm not like really religious in taking it. Once I do a deep dive and once I know more, then I tend to be more vigilant in the routine, especially if I know if it's going to give me benefits. I always felt good when I did take it, but again, I just need to know more about it.
I love that about you, because I think the more you know, that becomes something you give back. It's like you're taking it in for yourself and then offering it back out when someone has a question about it. So I love that.
Yeah. Well, it's just like how I practice with bracing in the store. I like to just spurt out a bunch of information to the patient. So that way, once they know more, my hope is that they're going to be more compliant to use the device. So this is no different.
For sure.
Yeah.
I remember I started taking magnesium at night, like my naturopath suggested a long time ago. I couldn't believe how well I was sleeping.
That is one thing I use every single day without fail is magnesium, 100%. And there's different forms of magnesium. I think our body uses like 8 different forms of magnesium. The supplement that I have has actually all of them. So it's got the bicyclinate, the citrate, the L-threonate, and like all the different magnesiums. And I would not go without it. It is one of my favorite supplements, hands down.
Well, you have convinced me to take it tonight. I'm so bad at the consistency. If he doesn't bring me my pills before bed.
Okay, Alex, you're going to go buy a silver platter.
Yes.
And you're going to lay out Kati's supplements on a silver platter.
The only pain in the ass I have with all of this stuff is I just wish our food had everything we needed. That's the thing that just drives me crazy. I just wish that our foods had all these things, But
Well, are mass produced, right? So over time, they lose the nutritional value that they used to have. And we do have more processed foods in our diet, and our processed foods aren't going to have that good stuff in them, right?
right.
So
And even
I think
vitamin D,
supplementation is
we're
important
missing
more
so
now.
much of the sun in the
Yeah.
winter. Like us Canadians, I don't even know why we're living here. It's crazy. Like it's
I
not
ask
normal.
myself that every winter. Why do I live here? Why
Yeah.
does the air hurt my face? I don't want to be here. Yeah, 100%.
We need a mass
Why does
exodus to
the air
South
hurt my
America.
face? It's sad. And it's so true. Last week, this has been the coldest February here in Calgary. And it was like every day I was scarfing it up. I had to scarf, and I hate anything on my face, and it was hurting. And then the pimples started. And
Yes.
finally, yesterday, it broke, and we went from -30 to +5. And I'm like,
Yeah, it really is. Even though it's not like super warm weather, it's just so comparatively warmer than what we were dealing with.
yep.
Yeah.
It's basically
Oh,
winter to
it's
summer.
Yeah. Well, have you
That's what it
seen
feels
like
like.
have you seen the map of Canada where they have like population densities?
Hmm.
Like the most dense populations in Canada are all like along the southern border.
Go
It's
figure.
so cold. No one wants to live north, and I don't blame them. I don't want to either, but
We did for
Right?
4 years, and that was plenty. I hate winter. Yeah. No, it's been so fun talking to you, and hopefully we'll get you back for the trilogy.
the trilogy, as long as I can be the first one.
You will be the first
Exactly.
person, yes.
Nice.
But, oh,
And with that, where can everyone find you? Maybe you could help them with RNF.
well, like I said, I'm no crazy specialist. This isn't my degree, but I've definitely learned a lot over the years. On Instagram, I'm Dorian_Senkow_beauty. Dorian Senkow Beauty. I'm sure I'll pop up if you see it. But yeah, that's where you can find me for skin. If you want orthopedics, just look at Performance Healthwear. But we're in Winnipeg, so you'd have to be in Winnipeg for me to be able to help you hands-on. But yeah,
All
that's
the
where you can find me.
Winnipeggers out
My
there.
name's not very common, so I'm sure if you just Google Dorian Senkow, I'm just going to pop up.
Nice. And with that, thank you so much. And we're going to see you on the next episode, everybody.
Thanks
Take
so
care.
much, guys.